Greetings lovers of all things cybernetic, Fayot here, and in this vid I will be taking it upon myself to make a definitive list of all the live action Transformers movies. I'll be starting from the bottom of the barrel with the worst of the worst and moving towards the more enjoyable ones. Now granted, I don't think this series, or let's say the Bay movies as a series and Bumblebee being its own thing up until now, sport any kind of masterpieces among the ranks. They are sometimes pretty awful and in occasion enjoyable. Disclaimer, I've watched them all multiple times and I'm not a hater by any means. I love Transformers. I just wanted to get the chaff out of the way in case someone wants to watch them from the start and make a list of what is unwatchable and what is enjoyable. So without further ado, let's get to it. Oh man, here we are, scraping the bottom of the feces barrel, the place where people spit after they vomited their breakfast. Oh dude, it was a special time back in the day. Revenge of the Fallen was being written during the strike of the writers of the US back in the day, and it shows. The plot barely makes any freaking sense. It relies way too heavily on eye candy of the female kind. The parents of Shia LaBeouf are simply insufferable, and there is enough cringe in here to cause irreparable face structural damage. There are a couple of interesting scenes in the movie, like Optimus's fight in the forest against the multiple Decepticons or the final fight against the Fallen himself, but really it's not worth going through this torture gauntlet just to enjoy a couple of interesting fights. It became quite apparent as well that Bay wanted to focus a lot on the gung-ho Marines, let's go motherfuckers kind of thing, which honestly is not what I'm here for. I'm here to watch huge ass cybernetic organisms kick the fuck out of each other, not some random dude with an M4 shooting at things that are way beyond his scope. I was really not happy with how this one turned out, and although we're gonna be looking at some very special stinkers, this one takes the cake as the worst of the worst. Moving to number 5, we have The Last Night. I have 3 very specific problems with this one. First, the introduction of the world in this movie's case is pretty strong, up to the point where Merlin proves to be a dumbass. Second, Wahlberg's character seems to be the final catalyst for everything. We didn't have enough humans up until now, it seems, so at this point we had to go all out, make humans center stage and leave the Transformers in the background, and Optimus Prime saying, "I am Optimus Prime," again and again and again. It was so cheesy, so badly implemented in the procedures and so forced, I had to look away from the screen. And dude, if you're gonna have Anthony Hopkins in your movie, he better do something interesting. I really cannot wrap my head around why the hell they hired the man. And on top of everything else, we're getting a look at Unicron at the end, and that led to nothing. The Bay movies were pretty much scrapped, and we were left wondering what could have been. A disgrace through and through. I hate The Last Night. It was shit. With Age of Extinction we're still in bad movie territory, but this one has a couple saving graces for me. First and foremost, the subplot of the Autobots getting framed and hunted by both the Decepticons and humans, and Lockdown entering the picture as the bounty hunter who's tasked with exterminating what's left of Optimus's team. It's kinda strange how from Victory it leads into this, but it's another Bay movie that doesn't really have to make much sense. Wahlberg is here for the first time as well, playing the macho sexy AF dad of the sexy AF daughter, and a lot of screen time is wasted on the humans again, but initially the movie catches your attention by feeling for the Autobots and what they're going through, although, as stated, it's nonsense. After that, it kinda goes all over the place. They introduce this new menace, large scale, 2 Cs in this movie. I don't know how such a good actor ends up landing all these shit gigs. He played in The Silence, A Quiet Place ripoff a few years back, although he's excellent. And they brought the Dinobots here just so Optimus could ride Grimlock. I cannot really wrap my head around this phrase, but it is what it is. It's really bad, and there is no real climax to the events. It's just another big spaceship that has to be blown to bits, but at least it's not as cringy and aggressively annoying as The Last Knight is. So this lands at number 4. We finally escaped the clutches of total horseshit. The original movie in 2007 was a sensation. It rekindled interest in the Transformers franchise, and Shia LaBeouf in this one was still an upstart, let's say. He didn't become the epitome of cringiness until much later. He plays his part as he should, in my humble opinion. There is a little bit too much human in this movie, and the kitsch factor is in full force, but it creates intrigue, and up to the point where Megatron actually makes his appearance, you're left wondering what exactly is going on and why there is so little escalation. There is good writing with the Transformers. It became quite apparent from the start that this was mostly made with a new audience in mind, not exactly the 40-year-olds by the time that grew up with Transformers, but it's an honest to God, as they say, piece of work. Introduced some new actors that later became much grander, and it features Jon Voight before he became totally unhinged. So it's fine in my book, surely much better than the ones we've already discussed. It lands on number 3. With Travis Knight in the helm as director and a new cast of characters, Bumblebee finally broke free of the curse of Bayism, a much more grounded and thematically closer to the OG material movie that sports an adorable Bumblebee, a likable sidekick human, and aesthetics much closer to the cartoon than any of the Bay movies ever tried to be. It brings both interesting Decepticon characters and the titular hero in a fight that's of much smaller scale, setting up events that will unfold in Rise of Beasts. John Cena is also strangely likable in this movie, and the sinister presence of the Decepticons in the background makes you excited about the unavoidable confrontation. The main hero has an arc, although I cannot understand why it involves him losing his voice again, as well as the sidekick. Interesting stuff, very well orchestrated, heartwarming and honest. It lands at number 2. Now you might wanna call me insane, people, but I consider Dark of the Moon to be the best of the Transformers flicks. For me, it strikes a very good balance between the human shenanigans, even the marine shenanigans, which I usually hate, and the action between the Transformers, the Autobots and the Decepticons. Some of the battle sequences are insane in this movie, although I regret the fate of certain characters. They were done dirty in my opinion. The mystery behind how Sentinel Prime actually ended up where he did, and how he devolved into, let's say, the unseen villain of the movie is excellent. Performances across the board are fine. The new girlfriend is kinda likable. she's still there for eye candy, but at least she's more interesting than Megan Fox ever was in the previous movies. There is this conglomerate of asshole humans that have betrayed humanity and are working with the Decepticons. When I first watched it, I was like, what the hell is happening here? What's going on? And that kept my interest up to the point where the blasting actually started taking place. It is not overstaying its welcome. It sports a killer soundtrack, some of the best effects we've ever seen. This was still the time when Transformers were really extremely high budget and the CGI was top notch. It kinda went downhill with Age of Extinction, so there really isn't much negative to say about this one, man. I love it, I watch it regularly, and I consider it the best that this cinematic universe has to offer up to this date. Let's hope we get even better stuff with Rise of Beasts. So this is it, people, my ranking of all the live action Transformers movies. I hope you liked it. This is the very first vid of my new channel, so if you're interested in all things Transformers, mecha, robots, cybernetic organisms, exoskeletons and what have you, consider subscribing and liking this one because there's more on the way. Until next time, be well, stay frosty and always strive for perfection. Cheers!